Once upon a time, in the village of Agana, there lived a beautiful girl named Kamsi, who, despite her difficult life, has always dreamed of being a princess someday. She lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Her stepmother and stepsisters, however, were very mean to her. They made her do all the chores in the house from early in the morning until late at night. Kamsi had to fetch water from the river for everyone, gather firewood for cooking, do the cooking, sweep, wash the dishes, and even take care of the animals. Her stepsisters Nkechi and Uju never helped with anything. They were always lazy and preferred to order Kamsi around. Their mother, Mama Nkechi, encouraged them to continue looking down on Kamsi and treated her like a maid. Despite all the hard work and little food Kamsi got, she remained kind-hearted and never complained. She often found solace in the river, where she sang to the birds and dreamed of a better life. One sunny morning, the whole village was buzzing with excitement. The king had made an important announcement. The prince was looking for a wife, and all the beautiful maidens in the village were to go to the king's palace. They would be tested on their wifely duties, kindness, loyalty, respectfulness, and intelligence. The prince and the queen mother would then select the girl who would become the next queen of Agana village. Kamsi's stepsisters were thrilled. They spent hours trying on dresses, fixing their hair, and talking about how one of them would surely become the next queen. They completely ignored Kamsi as usual, and Mama Nkechi made it clear that Kamsi was not to go to the palace. "You are not fit to be a queen," Mama Nkechi said, sneering. "Stay here and do your chores." Nkechi and Uju will go to the palace. Kamsi's heart sank, but she did not argue. She watched as her stepsisters left for the palace, hoping deep down that something somehow would happen to change the situation. After her stepsisters left, Kamsi went about her chores with a heavy heart. As she was sweeping the yard, she heard a rustle in the bushes. She turned to see an old woman standing there. The woman's clothes were tattered and she looked very tired. "Good day, my dear," the old woman said. "I am very thirsty. Could you spare some water?" Kamsi quickly fetched a calabash of water and gave it to the old woman. She also offered her some leftover food from the kitchen. The old woman ate and drank gratefully. "Thank you, my child," the old woman said with a smile. "You have a kind heart. What is troubling you?" Kamsi told the old woman about the prince's announcement and how her stepmother had forbidden her from going to the palace. The old woman listened quietly and then smiled again. "Do not worry, my dear," she said. "Kindness and goodness always find a way. Go about your day, and when the time is right, you will find your way to the palace." Kamsi did not know what to make of the old woman's words, but she thanked her and went back to her chores. Little did she know, the old woman was not just any ordinary woman, and her life was about to change forever. At the palace, preparations for the big event were in full swing. The king wanted everything to be perfect for the prince to find his future queen. The village girls were excited and nervous as they waited for their turn to be tested. Nkechi and Uju were among the girls, but they did not pay much attention to the task. They were too busy boasting about how beautiful and how deserving they were. The other girls, however, were determined to do their best. The queen mother was watching everything closely. She was looking for a girl who was not only beautiful but also kind-hearted, respectful, and intelligent. The prince too wanted someone who would be a good queen and a loving partner. Back at home, Kansi could not stop thinking about the old woman's words. She finished her chores and decided to visit the river. As she sat by the river, singing softly to herself, she noticed something sparkling in the bushes. Curious, she went closer and found a beautiful dress and a pair of delicate slippers. Kamsi looked around, but there was no one in sight. She picked up the dress and slippers, and suddenly the old woman appeared again from the bushes. "They are for you, my dear," the old woman said with a warm smile. "Put them on and go to the palace. Your goodness will shine through." Kamsi was hesitant, but the old woman's kindness gave her courage. She put on the dress and slippers and felt like a princess. The old woman led her to a hidden path that went straight to the palace. When Kamsi reached the palace, she was in awe of its beauty. She saw the other village girls gathered on the courtyard, including her stepsisters. Nkechi and Uju were shocked to see Kamsi in such a beautiful dress. They couldn't believe their eyes and were furious. How did you get here? Nkechi asked. And where did you get that dress? Kamsi smiled but did not respond. She walked with grace and confidence, feeling a sense of belonging she had never felt before. The Queen Mother noticed her immediately and was intrigued by her presence. The test began with simple tasks. The girls had to sweep the courtyard, fetch water, and cook a simple meal. While some girls struggled, Kamsi performed each task effortlessly. Her years of hard work at home had prepared her well. The Queen Mother was impressed by Kamsi's skills and kindness. She watched as Kamsi helped other girls who were struggling, offering them encouragement and support. The prince too noticed Kamsi's gentle nature and was drawn to her. Nkechi and Uju, on the other hand, were not doing well. They were impatient and rude, often complaining about the tax. Mama Nkechi had come to the palace to support her daughters, was also furious. She could see that her daughters were not performing well and she blamed Kamsi for it. The final test was the most important one. The girls had to show their intelligence and loyalty. They were given a series of questions and challenges to see how they would handle difficult situations. Kamsi answered each question thoughtfully and calmly. She showed her loyalty by speaking about the importance of family and community. The Queen Mother and the Prince were deeply moved by her words. Nkechi and Uju, however, failed to impress. They were more focused on outshining each other than on showing their true selves. The Queen Mother could see through their pretense and was disappointed. After the test, the Queen Mother and the Prince had a long discussion. They wanted to make sure they chose the right girl to be the next queen. The Queen Mother was particularly impressed by Kamsi's kindness and intelligence. When the time came for the announcement, the king called all the girls to the courtyard. Mama Nkechi was confident that one of her daughters would be chosen. But to everyone's surprise, the king announced that Kamsi had been chosen to be the next queen of Agana village. Kamsi was overwhelmed with joy. She couldn't believe that her dreams had come true. Nkechi and Uju were furious and stormed out of the palace, dragging their mother with them. Kamsi's life changed overnight. She moved into the palace and began her training to become a queen. The prince and the queen mother were kind and supportive, and Kamsi felt truly happy for the first time in her life. She never forgot her past though. She often visited the village and helped those in need. Her kindness and generosity made her beloved by everyone in Agana village. Mama Nkechi and her daughters were not happy with the outcome. They continued to plot against Kamsi, but their schemes always failed. Kamsi's goodness and strength protected her from their evil plans. Mama Nkechi could not accept that Kamsi had become the queen. She was determined to ruin her happiness. She and her daughters came up with a wicked plot to embarrass Kamsi in front of the whole village. They spread rumors that Kamsi had used witchcraft to win the prince's heart. They told everyone that she was not fit to be queen and that she would bring bad fortune to the village. Kamsi heard about the rumors and was deeply hurt. She had always been kind to her stepmother and stepsisters despite their cruelty. She didn't understand why they wanted to hurt her so much. The rumors spread quickly and soon the whole village was talking about them. The king decided to call a village gathering to address the issue. He wanted to hear from Kamsi and her accusers. At the gathering, Mama Nkechi and her daughters accused Kamsi of using dark magic to win the prince's heart. They demanded that she be removed as queen immediately. The villagers were shocked and didn't know what to do. Kamsi stood before the villagers with tears in her eyes, but she remained calm and composed. The queen mother and the prince stood beside her, offering their silent support. Dear villagers, Kamsi began, I have always been honest and kind to everyone. I have never used dark magic or any other means to deceive anyone. If there is anyone here who can speak of the wrong I have done, let them come forward now. The villagers murmured among themselves. Many of them had experienced KAMSI's kindness and knew she was not capable of such evil. One by one, they began to speak in her defense. She helped me when my child was sick, said one woman. She brought food to my family when we had none, said another man. The villagers' testimonies overwhelmed Mama Nkechi and her daughters. Their lies were exposed, and they were left with nothing to say. The king, seeing the truth, declared that KAMSI was innocent and would remain queen. And for daring to accuse the queen of Agana without proof, the king decided that Mama Nkechi and her daughters would be banished from the village. They were given 1 day to pack their belongings and leave. The villagers watched as they left, relieved to see them go. KAMSI felt a mixture of sadness and relief. She had hoped that her stepmother and stepsisters would change, but their actions had shown otherwise. She knew that the village would be safer without them. After the village gathering, KAMSI's kindness and generosity were even more recognized. The villagers felt ashamed for having doubted her. They began to offer their support and friendship more openly. One day, a group of village women visited the palace to thank KAMSI personally. They brought gifts of food and handmade items, expressing their gratitude for all she had done. "We are sorry for believing those lies," said one of the women. "You have always been good to us. We are fortunate to have you as our queen." KAMSI was deeply touched. She thanked the woman and promised to continue serving the village with all her heart. With the support of the villagers, KAMSI felt more confident in her role as queen. She began to implement new programs to help the village thrive. She organized a market day where villagers could trade goods and share their talents. The village of Agana began to flourish under KAMSI's leadership. The once struggling community was now thriving and the villagers were happier than ever. One evening, as the sun was setting, KAMSI decided to take a walk by the river. She had not been there since the day she found the beautiful dress and slippers. As she sat by the river, she heard a familiar rustling in the bushes. The old woman who had helped her from before. The old woman lives just on that road. She smiled warmly at her. "Good evening, my dear," the old woman said. "I see you have found your way to the palace and become a wonderful queen." KAMSI thanked the old woman for her help and kindness. "I don't know what I would have done without you, ma'am," she said. "How can I ever repay you?" The old woman shook her head. "You owe me nothing, my dear. Your kindness and goodness are reward enough. Always remember to stay true to yourself and continue to help others." With that, the old woman continued on her way into the bushes, leaving KAMSI with a renewed sense of purpose. With Mama Nkechi and her daughters gone, the village of Agana entered a new era of peace and prosperity. KAMSI continued to live with kindness and wisdom, and the villagers flourished under her care. The market day became a popular event and attracting people from nearby villages. People came from all over to visit. KAMSI's story spread far and wide, inspiring others to live with kindness and courage. She became a symbol of hope and goodness, and her legacy lived on for generations. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for the next story. I'll see you. Bye-bye.